So before we get into actually installing Xcode, let's go ahead and take a little bit of a look about what is Xcode and just get a little bit familiar with the background of it. So Xcode is an IDE, and we're going to use it for developing iOS applications. If you haven't used or developed on a Mac before, you're probably not familiar with Xcode, and that's fine. It's an IDE just like Visual Studio is, just like Eclipse is for developing Java, and you can use this IDE to do a lot of different things, but in this instance, we're going to look at how to use it to develop iOS applications. The current version is at version 4 that just recently came out at the time of this recording, and it is a big overhaul from the previous version of Xcode. There was a lot of changes that they made. Really, having used the older version of Xcode, it was really painful. I still believe that Xcode still has some ways to go as far as some polish and improvement, but it's a big difference from trying to develop in the earlier versions of Xcode. One of the big things is that it includes the interface builder, which we'll get into a little bit more later, but interface builder is essentially the design element. If you think about in Visual Studio, the design surfaces, interface builder was a separate application that did that for Mac and iOS applications, and now that's integrated into IDE into Xcode, which makes it a lot easier to use. For code, what does Xcode do? Well, it has that modified GCC compiler collection, and because it has that built in, it allows you to basically compile code in all of these languages that are listed here, and there's some plugins for some other ones. But essentially, it does more than iOS, and you can actually use it to develop even Java applications or Ruby applications. It has the GNU debugger as the debugger backend, and this is kind of important if you have some experience debugging with the GNU debugger. You're going to find that you can use those same commands. Now, there's a front end that's put on top of this that makes it a little bit easier to navigate with the IDE, but still, knowing these GNU debugger commands can come in really handy when you need to dig down into debugging your application. So just to keep that in mind, you can reuse that skill set there. And then where can you get Xcode? How are we going to download this? Well, we're going to go ahead and get it from the developer program. I'm going to show you how to get it there, but you can also get it from the App Store in iTunes, or on your Mac. You can just go to the App Store and search for Xcode, and then you can pay $5 to download it from there. If you do have that Apple developer program and signed up for it, you're going to want to get it from by signing into developer.apple.com and then going to Xcode. This way you don't end up paying an extra $5 for it.